Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. He has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he lives his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, visual artist, ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more, by giving people applicable tools and practices that enable them to live a more fulfilled life. Recognizing, realizing, and materializing their full divine potential. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray.
Merry Christmas, Tracy.
One of those days.
You say it's one of those days.
It's one of those days.
Man, UES. That's what kind of day it is today.
Oh.
UES. Say yes to the UES. Okay, so today, we are focusing on the gift of a new journey. How is everybody today? Like, put in the chat, how are you today? As we talk about this gift of a new journey. I'm gonna read it in a minute. Relax, man. Today, the sacred continuum cycles upward. What gifts do we offer as the expression of the greater yet to be? We greet it with joyful expectancy and awe, following our inner star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright. Yes, that is the truth of our being. Yes. So Ernest Holmes said that our past is not, did I remind you? It is not bound by precedent. You know, whatever happened in the past doesn't mean it has to happen now. We have the power within us to change our thinking and our viewpoint about any situation. It is through our active practice of affirmative prayer that we can move our consciousness and our actions in order to accept and embody that which is a new perspective, clarity, and harmony, thus demonstrating whatever we seek to experience and see in form. We have the ability to transform every aspect of our lives by practicing our spiritual practice. Not just meditating, not just changing our thinking, but embodying all levels of our mental equivalent, changing our thinking, the manner in which we speak internally and externally, shifting the emotions that we feel because that fuels the universe, and then shifting the things that we do. Breathe, because we getting ready to go to one of my favorite characters and favorite films in all of creation, Doctor Strange. Now, the reason we're going to Doctor Strange is because there's a line in Doctor Strange where the Ancient One is informing Stephen, there's this aspect of consciousness where mind and matter meet. And she goes on to say the same thing that Virgil, philosopher, said: mind moves matter. Take that in for a second. Mind moves matter. So really grasp this. Your body is matter, right? It is substance. And when you decide to brush your teeth, or you decide to take a shower or bath, or you decide to give Rainica a call and get that yoga Thai body work done on you, go for it, Jane. Happy birthday too. When you decide to do this, stop laughing at me, Tracy. I mean, I'm speaking here. When you decide to do this, your mind, your consciousness, your beliefs are moving matter. And if it works that way here, then does it not also work that way outside of us? There was a time when women were not allowed to vote. That was the government. Like, you weren't allowed as a woman to vote. And someone's mind made up and changed that paradigm, that consciousness, and then that person spoke to that person, and those spoke to them, and so on, and so on, and so on, until what Victor Hugo said: nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. And matter moved, policies changed, voting rights changed, the consciousness of the country changed. Mind moves matter. So let's anchor and ground and recognize that in this sacred continuum, there is this idea of ever moving, and yet we remember last week, that which God is. God does not grow, God does not change, God does not seek, right? And yet there is also the paradox of we as the expression of God. We, linguistic convenience, we grow, shift, change, evolve. We do that on the sacred continuum that never ends. So we recognize that we are ever moving upward and ever moving inward and ever moving outward and ever moving onward all the time. That sacred continuum forever, eternally. So our invitation is to do this mindfully, to be on each stage of our journey, each step, each mile, each block, each phone call, each whatever it is, to be on that step consciously, mindfully, purposefully. Because if we allow ourselves to continue to be bound by precedent, because we are what we think we are. Life is what we think life is, right? So if you had trauma at some point in your past, and it causes sadness and grief and suffering, and you change nothing, then that is going to continue. But the moment you recognize that change is possible, and you begin to elevate your consciousness, you begin to shift your paradigms, you begin to practice your spiritual practice, then that sacred continuum shifts the manner in which you show up in the world. It shifts, and you become a different being. You recognize that as you change, the ripples of consciousness, the ripples of energy, the influence of your spiritual being ripples out. It changes the very environment around you. And you become, in many ways, like that Star of Bethlehem, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, that leads and guides others to recognizing their own spiritual magnificence. They see it in you, and by seeing it in you, they see the star, just like the wise men saw the star and followed it and found their own Christ consciousness. you shine ever so brightly, and it gives others permission to recognize their own divinity. Stephen Covey says, paradigms are like glasses. When you have incomplete paradigms about yourself or about life in general, it's like wearing glasses with the wrong prescription. The lens affects how you see everything else. See, if I put Tracy's glasses on,
Be careful.
be careful, be careful.
Be careful what you're about to say.
Oh, she said, be careful what I'm about to say. Be careful. If I put Tracy's glasses on, I'm not going to be able to read, right? Because her glasses are prescribed for her. In the same way, if I put on the lens of my parents, put on the lens of my siblings, put on the lens of my former religious background, if I put on the lens of my trauma and PTSD, if I put on any of those lenses, it affects how I see everything else. But when I put on the lens of truth, the lens of what science of mind and spirit affords me the ability to recognize, then I can see clearly now, right? I can see clearly now the obstacles. Stop laughing at me when I say
I'm not laughing at you. Do what you're supposed to be doing over there. You're giving Faith a workout.
I can see clearly now. The rain has gone. The clouds are gone. The obstacles are gone. And with clarity, I am able to move and navigate life in a completely different way. So our practice is pay attention to the lens, to the filters, to the implicit biases, to all of the things that are going on in our consciousness that may be obscuring our vision. Remember, I quote it often, the passage in the Bible that says, when the people have no vision, they perish. So let's be mindful. What is it that my vision is affording me the ability to see, the ability to experience, the ability to live based upon? Does my vision include my ability to see the gift that I am to the world, the gifts that I offer the world? Or does my vision obscure my ability to recognize that I have to be? And what is true for me has to be true for you. It must be. Am I aware that I have gifts and talents to share with the world? Do I recognize that my very presence is the infinite power of the universe showing up in human form, the Word made flesh, and that by itself is a gift? Everything else on top of that is icing and sprinkles and whipped cream. Simply being alive, you are a gift. Simply being present, you are a gift. And then everything on top of that, every conversation you have, a gift. Everything you offer, a gift. Every gift you give, a gift. Every song you sing, a gift. Every sign that you sign, a gift. Every note you play, a gift. Every plant you plant, every seed you plant, a gift. Every meal you cook, a gift. You get where I'm going. When you know and know who and what you are, then you recognize this inhale and exhale is a gift. I inhale, and the universe gifts me with oxygen, and I exhale and I gift nature with carbon dioxide so that plants breathe. That my smile, a gift, because that smile may change someone's day. that my joyous laughter heard by someone in aisle 7 and I'm in aisle 13 and they hear me laugh at Tracy in the store, it may bring a smile to their face and they never even see my face. But the joyous laughter is contagious, and that is a gift. Recognize that you are inherently a gift. Ernest Holmes says, nature will not let us stay in any one place for too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. Now, the way this is stated, yes, he is anthropomorphizing nature. Ultimately, what we are recognizing is that the very nature of our own being will not let us rest. There is that sacred continuum ever in motion, whether we recognize it or not. You breathe because that is nature. Nature will not let you hold your breath, but for so long before she will say, you better take this breath, right? You pass out. Nature, you better eat a sandwich. You better go get something in the thing and eat because I hear your stomach gurgling. Because she was about to pass out. Exactly. Nature. We are nature made manifest. And our nature as spirit moves us forward, upward, inward, onward, outward throughout all of creation and throughout all of eternity. So recognize, breathe. I am not meant to be apathetic. I am not meant to be stagnant. I am not meant to be motionless. But for so long, like when Sue is guiding us in meditation, and there's that inhale and a deep exhale, right? We can control to a certain degree, but there's a point where that exhale can't go but so far before the next inhale must happen. We are not meant to be motionless in stillness eternally. We are meant to grow, to evolve, to shift, to recognize the truth of our being, to and for the advancement of our individual and collective soul. There are two ways, only two ways, to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other as if everything is a miracle. And in other words, one as though there is no God, and the other as though everything is God. How are we living? How are we moving through this thing called life? Do I recognize? Do I see? Is my prescription clear enough that I am able to see the divine when I am frustrated and angry and sad and grieving? Am I able to see the divine, to see God when I am in the grocery store in the 3 items or less line, and the person in front of me has 33 items, but the sign clearly says 3. And that's 3 times 11. That's too many. And Tracy, I hope y'all heard her. She said, am I able to see God when I stand up and read the wrong thing? Same thing. Am I able to see and recognize the infinite power and presence of love, of source, of the divine in, through, and as all circumstances and situations, knowing that at any moment when I see something that is discord, dis-ease, I am able to recognize the truth of it, and my mind, the only mind, there is only one mind, and that mind is God. And when my mind focuses and practices and does what this spiritual teaching affords me the ability to do, my mind moves matter. The law of mind in action must change dis-ease into wellness and ease, must change discord into harmony and being of one accord. It must bring balance. That's why we know that things such as racism, sexism, homophobia, etc., will be a thing of the past because the consciousness of the planet is shifting. Mind moves matter. There is only one power and one presence. And as each of us recognizes that, it changes the energy for the entire world. Shinru Suzuki says, I should have gave Tracy that one. Shinru Suzuki says,
Nope.
nope.
I would have pronounced that incorrectly.
In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but the expert, there's only a few. The expert thinks, I know it all, and there is only one right way. The beginner is always open to infinite possibilities of what might be. For example, if I were to ask you, how do you spell or write or say the word love? Just think to yourself, how do you say it? How do you say it? You say love, you say love, love. How do you say it? And how do you write it? How do you spell it? Do you spell it the way most of us would spell it? I traced it, IT. You spell it like this. But what if we said pause? From the beginner's mind frame, I recognize that there are infinite possibilities of how that word, love, can be written, spelled, spoken, and pronounced. So let me recognize that there are many ways that spirit shows up, that spirit expresses, and let me anchor and ground in, I am ever ready and willing to move from this space and this consciousness to change and grow and evolve, which means I have to be open at the top for all of the infinite ways that this can be expressed. That peace can be expressed, that unity can be expressed, that global harmony and healing can be expressed. It doesn't have to be one way. It could be 1,000 million different ways. And being open and present to that is what begins to send out the ripples and change consciousness. Mind moves matter. Two people come together, and one of them, says what we normally say. Hey, what's new? How many of us, either we say it or we know someone who says the response, same old, same old. That's precedent. One is asking, what is new? Based on principle, what's new? Precedent says, same old, same old. Nothing's new. Can't complain. Same old, same old. Well, if your consciousness is same old, you get same old, same old. We become what we think. His mental equivalent is speaking the words that are ruminating through his consciousness. Same old, same old. Same old habits, same old beliefs, same old conditions, same old paradigms, same old trauma, same old. So what's new? What's new? What's new? I am that infinite newness ever becoming. See, we don't recognize that the body is ever becoming new. Old skin cells fluff off as new ones grow. Hairs come out. Silence yourself, Tracy Rise. Stop laughing at me. Hairs come out as new hairs on some people's heads, as new hairs grow. Oh, they grow in my nose. So as a
growing that hair.
Yeah, they do, because I have to cut my hair. Yeah, people think I'm bald, but whatever. Anyhow, hairs come out as new hairs come in. Right? Follow me. New food goes in as old food goes out. We are always renewing. We are always becoming better and more and better and more when we're not even trying to. So imagine what happens when we focus that energy. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, the world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is. You know, the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Wow.
The world will persist in exhibiting hell in a handbasket if that's what you affirm that it is. So once again, what are we invited to know and practice? We must learn to see the world anew. We must learn to see ourselves anew. We must learn to see each other anew. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the renewing, by having a new thought. Allow your mind to have a new thought. Allow your life to practice new thought. And in that, we are transformed. We need not be bound by the old. If I were to ask you, which one of these computers would you prefer to log in next Sunday using? Tracy said the larger one. Girl, you ain't never gonna be able to log in because that one, it's not gonna work. You couldn't fit that in the house anyway, so hush up there. So which one would you want? Do you want the old, the one based on precedent? Well, that's how computers have always been. That's how they need, no. Or do you shift and recognize that there are times for an upgrade for the phone, an upgrade for the computer. And even when we don't like it, like, Zoom is upgrading again? Oh, Microsoft is upgrading again? Oh, I gotta upgrade my phone again? I have to upgrade again? Well, if I wanna renew my mind, if I wanna live a different life, if I wanna experience life differently, if I want to live in a different world experience, then yes, I'm invited to upgrade. I'm invited to renew my mind, renew my consciousness, to ever focus on truth and be steeped in principle. Holmes says, all laws are universal and may become individualized. The thing that stands between you and the greater good is a thing of thought and nothing else. It is not reality, capital R reality, that you must change, but rather your mental reaction to it. When we change how we see the obstacle, then the obstacle becomes part of the path to eradicating the obstacle. Shifting the consciousness around it. Well, I can't do that because, I grew up poor. So did a lot of people. Just because that's what was doesn't mean that's what has to be. Change the way you see yourself, and then everything around you must change. Change the way you see yourself, and then you step out there and you start to change policy around you, in the government, in your city. We are not helpless and hopeless. We are able to affect change. But it starts with each of us individually, individually, and collectively coming together to do this, to move this, to transform this. Rachel Carson says, and this is an important piece here, children's.
Come on, take a breath and start over.
Take a breath and start over.
You started reading like crazy.
I hope y'all can hear her. She said I started reading like Tracy. Let us pray for Tracy. A child, no, I'm gonna say it again. Joyous laughter. It's Sue. Sue did this.
Her and Robert.
Her and Robert, y'all set the tone for this joyous laughter today. Thank you. God bless you. A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy, who is supposed to preside over all children, there's the children, I should ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life. You are the good fairy, and you are able right now to bestow that gift of wonder and indestructible awe, undeniably expressing spirit right now. You are the good fairy. You are your own fairy godmother, fairy godfather, fairy god person. That is you right now. Bestow upon yourself once again the gift of all the world is magnificent and beautiful, that I see a rainbow and I'm in awe, that I believe that unicorns are magical. Whatever that means for you, restore yourself to that state of awe and wonder and beauty, and all things are possible. This week's practice, journal. What is an old thought that you release in favor of a new thought? What was the motivation for the shift? What is an old thought that you still have that you have yet to shift? Oh, sorry.
Why you apologize? They can't see this.
In what ways are you a new person? What was the 5-year-old you like? What was the 20-year-old you like? What was the 15-year-old you like in comparison to who you are today? What are some of the upgrades that made you who you are now? What kind of things? Look back and compare yourself, because you're not the same person. Even if you think you are, you really aren't. So do an assessment. Identify, compare, and contrast. Who was I compared to who I am today? What upgrades have been made? What still has yet to be upgraded? And then lastly, have a conversation with 3 people about some of the gifts that you bring to the world as a result of the renewing of your mind. What are you bringing? Talk about it. In fact, I would say we could do it next Sunday at the lunch, but we'll have a different message next Sunday that we can do then. So give folks a, give folks a call. This week's declaration or affirmation, I will say it first, and if you feel in alignment with it, then say it with me on round 2. The spirit that is me makes all things new. Together, the spirit that is me makes all things new. Breathe. Breathe. We simply breathe and be present, recognizing the isness and allness of love made flesh right here and right now in this moment. The very gift of the universe to itself is each and every one of us. We are God acting upon itself. When any one of us smiles, God is smiling at another incarnation of itself. Anytime we namaste, the universe is bowing to its own awesome, beautiful presence as it is showing up in, through, and as each person. We recognize in this moment that this sacred continuum of love and laughter and life is eternal. And we open this gift with the joy of a child opening presents with smiles and joy and awe. And we allow that to be every day. For any time we hug another, it is Christmas. Anytime we help another, it is this season of giving, of loving, of lifting, of being the very light of the universe, the very light of the world. Given to the law, and the law says yes, knowing that this treatment, this service, and every part of it, from the opening meditation through the spiritual practice, the pre-service music, the in-service music, every sign that the interpreter signed, every aspect, every comment typed in the chat, all of it is the wondrous way that God expresses itself, and it is good. And so it is. Much love and appreciation.